This is from page 37 of the Math Mechanic Fractions and Mixed Numbers edition. Finding the least common multiple, also known as the LCM. Here is method 4 for finding the least common multiple. Step 1. Multiply the largest number by the number 1. Step 2. Divide the result of the multiplication by the smaller number or numbers. Step 2A. If there is not a remainder, then the result of the previous multiplication is the least common multiple. Step 2B. If there is a remainder, then the result of the previous multiplication is not the LCM, or least common multiple. Repeat steps 1 and 2 until you get the least common multiple. Note: each time you repeat step 1, use the next highest number to multiply the largest number by. For example, multiply the number by 2, then 3, and so on. Here is an example. Find the least common multiple of 5 and 4. Step 1. Multiply the largest number by the number 1. 5 is the larger number. I will repeat. Of the two numbers 5 and 4, 5 is the larger number or largest number. Therefore, we will multiply 5 by 1. So, step 1. 5 is the largest number, so it will be multiplied by 1. 5 is the largest number, so it will be multiplied by the number 1. 5 times 1 equals 5. Now we move on to step 2. Divide the result of the multiplication by the smaller number. The smaller number is 4. So we will divide 5 by 4. Again, to repeat, we will divide the result of the previous multiplication, which in this case is 5. This is the result of the previous multiplication in step 1. And we will divide that by the smaller number. The smaller number in this case is 4. So we're going to divide 5 by 4. 5 divided by 4 equals 1 with a remainder of 1. Since there is a remainder, we will perform step 2B. Since there is a remainder, 5 is not the least common multiple of 5 and 4. Again, I will repeat, since there is a remainder, 5 is not the least common multiple for 5 and 4. Now, since we didn't find the least common multiple, we will repeat steps 1 and 2. In step 1, the largest number will now be multiplied by 2. Again, I will repeat. Since we have multiplied by 1, we will now multiply the largest number by 2. We're going to increment the number that we've multiplied by until we find the least common multiple. So the next number to multiply by will be 2. Step 1, multiply the largest number by the number 2. Since 5 is the largest number of 5 and 4, 5 is the larger number, we will multiply 5 by the number 2. 5 is the largest number, so it will be multiplied by 2. 5 times 2 equals 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. Step 2, divide the result of the multiplication by the smaller number. The smaller number is 4. Therefore, we will divide the result of the multiplication in step 1, which is 10. We will divide it by the smaller number. The smaller number in this case is 4. Ten divided by 4 equals 2 with a remainder of 2. Since there is a remainder, we will perform step 2b. There is a remainder, so 10 is not the least common multiple. I will repeat. Since there is a remainder, 10 is not the least common multiple for 5 and 4. We will now repeat steps 1 and 2. Now, when we perform step 1, we will increment the number that we will multiply by. Since we multiplied by 2 in the previous steps, we will now multiply by 3. Notice when we don't find the least common multiple, we increment by 1. So we started with 1, then we perform the multiplication by using 2, and now we will use 3. Again, I will repeat, when we do not find the least common multiple, we will increment the number that we multiplied by 1. So we started at 1, then we multiplied by using the number 2, and now we're going to multiply using the number 3. So, again, 5 is the larger number of the numbers 5 and 4. 5 is the larger number. So we will multiply 5 by the number 3. 5 times 3 equals 15. 5 times 3 equals 15. Next, we will divide the result of the multiplication by the smaller number. The result of the multiplication is 15. So we will divide 15 by the smaller number, which is 4. 4 is the smaller number. Again, 4 is smaller than 5. So we will divide 15 by 4. Divide 15 by 4. 15 divided by 4 equals 3 with a remainder of 3. 15 divided by 4 equals 3 with a remainder of 3. Since there is a remainder, we will utilize step 2b. There is a remainder. Therefore, 15 is not the least common multiple of 5 and 4. Again, since there is a remainder, that means 15 is not the least common multiple for 5 and 4. So now we will perform steps 1 and 2 again. This time, we will multiply by 4. We will multiply the largest number by 4. Notice, we multiplied by 1, and we didn't find the least common multiple. Then we multiplied by 2, and we still didn't find the least common multiple. Then we multiplied by 3, and that did not give us the least common multiple. Now we're going to multiply by 4 and see if that will give us the least common multiple. Again, 5, in step 1, we are going to multiply the largest number by 4. 5 is the larger number between 5 and 4. 5 is the larger number when you have 5 and 4. 5 is the larger number. So we are going to multiply 5 by the number 4. 5 is the larger number, so we are going to multiply it by the number 4. 5 times 4 equals 20. 5 times 4 equals 20. Step 2, we're going to divide the result of the multiplication we did in step 1 by the smaller number. The smaller number is 4. Remember, the smaller number is 4. The smaller number of 5 and 4 is 4. So we are going to divide this result by the smaller number, which is 4. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. There is no remainder, so we will utilize step 2a. There is no remainder, so 20 is the least common multiple for 5 and 4. Again, I will repeat, since there is no remainder, this means that 20 is the least common multiple for 5 and 4. So 20 is the least common multiple of 5 and 4. Okay, just to make sure that you understand how we found out which number was the least common multiple, when we divided the result of step one's multiplication by the smaller number, if there was a remainder, then that number was not the least common multiple. If there was a remainder, then that number was not the least common multiple. So here we have a multiplication result of 5. When we divided 5 by the smaller number, we get a remainder of 1. Therefore, 5 was not the least common multiple. Next, we get a multiplication result of 10. When we divided 10 by the smaller number, we get a remainder of 2. Therefore, since we got a remainder of 2, then 10 was not the least common multiple. Next, we got a multiplication of 15. We got a multiplication result of 15 when we performed step 1. When we divided 15 by the smaller number, which is 4, we get a remainder of 3. Therefore, since there was a remainder, 15 was not the least common multiple. Next, we get a multiplication result of 20. When we divided 20 by the smaller number, we get a result with no remainder. Since there was no remainder, then the multiplication result of 20 is the least common multiple. Feel free to watch this video again and work alongside on a sheet of paper using the given instructions. Use the pause button as needed. Also, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if this video was helpful, leave a comment.